Welcome back. And, I mean, the outcome we were expecting, but
Yep.
it's been a definitive 2 games so far.
Yeah, definitely. Both games are not close. I mean, that second one was maybe a bit longer than it needed to be, but still a very one-sided affair.
Now, we were just seeing the one of the TFT mobile trailers there.
Yep.
I was asking about the origin of Pengus. I'm wondering, how do you think a penguin got all those champions to follow them? Because it's like they're the leader.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I feel like it's not a normal penguin because they like have a sword, and like there's got what I mean, like they've got the improved cognitive ability to operate a tool.
Yeah.
Which I don't think regular penguins can do. So I feel like they're some sort of special super penguin.
I just want to be clear. You don't think that penguins can operate a sword.
I've never not seen a penguin
That's
operate
true.
a sword.
That's true. I mean, I've never seen an actual penguin in my life other than a zoo. So
Really?
yeah, and I don't think that.
Oh, okay.
that
Go to Port Phillip.
I should go to Port Phillip. What's in Port Phillip?
No, not Port Phillip. Phillip Island.
I should go there too. I'll go
Phillip
there after
Island
Port
in
Phillip.
Victoria. You can go see the penguins walking around.
There's just penguins strolling around.
Yep, they have a whole show and everything. They'll be like, at this time the penguins are going to come out. So then you go, but I'm pretty sure they're all wild. Yeah.
Is it cold?
Yeah.
There's
not
enough
icy,
ice?
not like ice cold.
There's
no,
ice.
No.
Penguins don't need ice?
No.
This is throwing everything in. Really?
Yeah.
Do penguins need ice? I'm just saying, this is a huge.
Oceanic Penguin League.
Emperor penguins use ice as a breeding platform to rear chickens, to molt, feed, and protect themselves from predators.
Don't they know about shrinkage?
Don't they know about shrinkage?
But that's emperor penguins. There's lots of different kinds of penguins.
Okay, all right.
Just penguins. Penguins, because there's lots of different types. There's the ones with the eyebrows. Then there's the fairy penguins.
Yep.
Those are the ones in Phillip Island.
Yep. You got the ones with the swords.
You got sword penguins from the TFT ad.
There you go.
He didn't need ice.
No, he didn't. All right. All I'm thinking about is penguin shrinkage right now. Okay, it's time to jump back into the Isolation Survival Guide.
Let's do it!
Whatever's necessary.
It must be done.
This is excellent work. We got to think of more reasons to bring this
If
up.
you had to choose one champion to do surgery on you, what would it be?
What would the champion be, or what would the surgery be?
The champion.
Well, like the first. I don't know. I'd want someone with like a steady hand, or maybe I'd want a reassuring presence, like a yordle. Like a yordle would sort of come in and I'd feel good about
yeah,
it. Like
yep.
if a fiddlesticks turned up, I'd be really just
That's a
friggin'
problem.
terrified.
That's a problem.
But if a yordle wandered in, I'd feel like, well,
Even if this goes wrong,
yeah,
there's a hand to hold.
yeah, like
Yeah.
bedside manner, I think is about 50% of being a doctor.
Yeah.
So I would say like a Poppy,
Okay.
Tristana, any
Sure.
of the yordles is probably a good choice.
Yep.
Akali obviously knows a way around a blade, but what if
Yep.
I'm not looking to get cut open? What if this is some sort of
Non-invasive?
like, non-invasive surgery?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead. I just saw Nurse Akali and Dr. Shen, and I thought, which one of those two would I prefer? But then I thought I'd give you more options than just Shen or Akali.
What about you?
I think probably like Heimerdinger or like Victor.
Because they're
Get some like robot.
techie.
Yeah, get some robot like stuff.
Yep.
Like Mr. Gadget or like extra fingers. I don't know. That'd be
Oh,
cool.
you mean that they would like
Enhance
give
me.
you more stuff?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
right.
I'd come in with like a broken toe and I'd leave with like a robot leg.
With a toe that turns into a helicopter blade.
Yeah.
That spins you upside down and carries you
Something
away
like
from-
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty good. Good. All right. Well, chat. Let us know what league champion you would like to perform surgery on you, and what surgery would you like them to perform. Other things you've let us know. A bunch of you wrote in with just things that you're doing right now, or your life at the moment. It is Jono says Jono is learning potato culture. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that
What
means?
is potato culture?
is
I have
potato
potatoes in my backyard that are growing and you can eat them. Just
Really?
saying. Yep.
Can you bring in a potato tomorrow?
Yep.
Because
I can.
that pause makes me think you were lying.
No,
No?
I can.
What kind of potatoes?
I think they're just white.
Okay. Do you,
I've taken one out before. So it's at the
are we
gaming
saying,
house.
Are we saying it's too early?
In terms of harvest, I have no idea. It's a gaming house. The people who own that gaming house or who were renting it before or whatever were very into horticulture, and we have all sorts of fruit plants and all crazy stuff, mangoes, and I've eaten them and they're all delicious. It's really incredible. I have a photo on my phone I can show you of grapes that I found this morning, a full bushel of grapes like this on a vine. It was incredible. Anyway, but we have all these weeds in the backyard, like a sea of green, right? And I was thinking like one day, because I have days where I get a big green thumb and I think, you know what, I'm going to sort this out. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to sort out like some issue around the house, because normally I try to put it in the back
as long as possible.
Yes, because I didn't create the problem. But some days I'll be like, you know what, today I'm going to do something about the gaming house, going to fix something, and I thought this sea of weeds has to go. I'm sick of looking at them. I'm going to weed them. So I'm pulling them out, and they were so hard to pull out, incredibly difficult to get these weeds out of the ground. But then finally, after yanking and pulling and sort of just tearing, because you have to get the root out.
I thought you weren't good with wood.
Yeah, these are plants. I'm good with
never
plants.
mind. No, time's gone.
Tearing the stems off, and I was like, no, got to get the roots out. So I hand in the soil.
Yep.
Bang, potato.
That is amazing.
And I thought, what is this? And then it's like, I'm not kidding. It's like maybe 10 square meters of potatoes just everywhere. So, but that was also 6 months ago, and I haven't taken a potato out since. Because, well, they're not my potatoes. The mangoes grow on a tree. I see a mango, and I'm like, shit, I got to eat that.
Yeah.
But potatoes are in the ground.
You forget about them.
I got to take them out. I got to clean them. I got to cook them. That's a whole process.
Don't you think?
But I'll see if there's any potatoes, and I'll bring one in, or maybe more tomorrow.
That would be so exciting. Is it a bushel of potatoes?
I don't know what you call it.
What is it? A bag of potatoes?
Well, it comes in a bag.
Yeah.
Don't think it grows in a bag.
Don't you think it's weird that when you weed weeds, it's called weed?
Ding?
Like it's called.
Yeah, the thing you're doing.
Yeah, it's strange. Like if you were planting a tree, it's not like I'm treeing. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, but I bet there's a bunch, like fishing.
There's probably a reason.
I'm fishing for fish.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a
that's
fish
not
that
bad.
I'm fishing it.
That's interesting.
Like it's what am I doing?
What is that about?
I'm fish. It's a fish, but I'm doing that as well.
That's so weird.
Fishing. I don't know.
Okay, good.
So there's probably a bunch, but that's just the first one I thought of.
Good. All right. Well, it is Jono. We had no idea what you were talking about, but it did spurn through.
Potato culture. I still need to know what potato culture is. Is that like furries but potatoes?
Right, like there's some sort of weird.
Like we're all wearing like I'm like a
dress.
white and you're like a sweet potato and you've got your sweet potato costume.
And then I walk into a room and I'm like, mash me, baby. Yeah?
And we kiss.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah?
That's what I'm choosing to believe.
Okay, cool. All right, that's potato culture.
People are into weird stuff.
We're just going to decide that's what it is. We don't care about what the answer is. You can tell us. We're going to ignore it. Mordred O says, I put together my new chair and it's now too comfortable for me to leave. So that's good. That's being handy.
I feel like that's a good outcome.
That's good. It'll be bad if it was
As far as chairs go.
Yeah, that's what you want. A comfy chair?
Yep.
Good. But it's a gaming chair. I've never had good experiences with a gaming chair. Every time I sit on one, they fall apart.
Really?
Yeah.
Who puts them together?
I don't know. Other people. I don't put together my own chairs. I'm past that stage of my life.
Okay.
Phoenix Airline says, my daughter figured out how to wave today, so that was something new we learned. There you go. That's one adventure.
See, I find that interesting that we learned that. Presumably you knew how to wave already. But that when the child learns something, we've learned that together.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? That's
phrasing
interesting.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the collective we as a family.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. We all know it now.
Yeah,
because like if it was
some of us knew, but not all.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Because that's like there's a division now between like us, the smart parents, and you, the dumb child who can't wave. Yeah, I figured that out. Canned B Corp says, I'm keeping myself going with the sweet hope that Persona 5 Royal releasing in a few days gives me. That's very exciting. Have you played any of the Persona games?
No.
Too busy with your potatoes.
Yes. I don't know. They never really. I didn't really know about Persona.
You don't need to justify yourself.
I didn't really know what it was until recently and all the hype and stuff. And then I was like, oh, what is it? And I looked at a picture. And it was like an anime game. And I was like, I'm checked out.
Don't you dare feel like you need to like justify. Don't you feel like you need to go home and like?
Yeah, but you like
start
asked
reading
me
up
the
on
question
Persona.
specifically of like what I thought of it. So
Yeah.
isn't though like how am I supposed to answer without without justifying it?
You can just be like, screw that anime shit. I'm not watching that.
No, that's rude to people who. I'm not
green
trying to.
thumb.
I'm not trying to shame people for what they like.
My favorite part of today is that the chat is actually 5 minutes behind live because everyone's playing online.
Yep.
So I looked down
No cheaters.
to see if there was any comment on the hand waving story, and all I'm seeing is Shen, Jin, Victor, Blitzcrank, Dr. Mundo, and I'm like, oh right, that's from 5 minutes ago. So
Whoever
5
said
minutes
Dr.
from now.
Mundo, you need to get yourself checked out.
See,
you
he
need
was,
help.
he was my first thought, and then I was like, that's insane. Just because he's dressed up as a doctor is
Yeah.
one of those
No,
skins.
do you know the law for Dr. Mundo is like he was like I'm gonna say it wrong now, but like he was either insane or he got experimented on, one of the two, and basically ended up killing the doctor, the actual doctor
Yeah.
who made him the way he
just
was, stealing
his
the
coat.
jacket, and then just hitting the streets.
It's ridiculous.
And that's the guy, and you're like, hey man, I've had these crazy headaches.
Yeah.
Do you think you could help me out? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you get a helicopter tow. All right, it's time to jump into the next game of the day. It is PGG versus Chiefs. Let's do the PGG lineup first. Tim.
Goodbye, Panther playing top. Sully in the jungle needs an updated photo. His face is not that clean anymore.
Nice.
Get back playing mid. Mark Pradith Lewis playing AD Carry and Rogue in the bottom lane, coached by Western Way.
How are we feeling about Sully's mustache?
I don't know. I feel like it's gone to a stage where it's not that bad.
Yeah, I feel like he's
Yeah.
really grown into it.
Yeah, like he's committed, and now I see him. Now that I see him without the mustache in that photo,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Sort of baby face now
Look at that
compared
bold lip.
to what he is at the moment.
How are you feeling about PGG?
I think they seem to be having like a sort of mid-season resurgence. They've turned it around the last couple of weeks, wins over both Legacy and Chiefs. I think any team that beats the top two is going to be impressive to pundits. They've got another big game today.
Yep.
I think, are they playing Direwolves tomorrow?
They are.
So
And another big game tomorrow.
yeah, a couple big weeks for them.
Arguably
and,
a bigger game because that's like a much more direct competitor to them than Chiefs.
Yeah, there's the opportunity to take that spot as well. So that's a team who are on their way up, and Gauntlet's not that far away anymore. I think we're in week 8 now,
Yep.
and it's assume we don't know what's going to happen yet with the virus and whatnot, but it's a 10-week season normally.
We're getting to the pointy end.
Yeah, we're not that far away, and they've come into some form. So I feel really positive about them.
And at the very tip of that pointy end, it is the Chiefs who are going up against PGG today. Tian in the top lane, Croc, your jungler, Claire mid lane, Katsuri down bottom with Kriya CK rounding out in support. And,
You know what's just occurred to me?
What's that?
Is I've always thought that cross earring belonged to Croc. But it actually
yeah.
belongs to Claire.
That's totally triggering me now.
But for 8 weeks, I've been like, Croc's got this earring, but I've never seen him wear it in real life.
And also he's got this weird lobe that sort of just juts out. It takes a hard left. Hangs out.
This way.
There you go. Well, we've learned something about Croc. Chiefs, your biggest rivals at the moment over at Legacy.
Yep.
How do you feel about Chiefs? How are you? Like they're obviously, you guys took the first loss out of the two of them, but then Chiefs are catching up in the losing stakes.
Yep.
And PGG are king killers in some ways, so maybe they can make it a 2-0. Well, not a 2-0, but like at least 2 losses for Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really big for us if they were able to knock them off. That would put us on equal losses. Chiefs are a game behind because of the cancelled games from the other week, but that would put us at least on even losses, which puts us, Legacy, in a really good stead to try and get that first place before the end of the split. I think Chiefs are a really good side. I think they've shown that through the year. I think that, they've just had 2 losses 1 week after the other, but other than that, they sort of looked like they were getting better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They started strong and they looked like they were improving throughout the year, and I thought they were going to be a real chance, well, they still are, to take out the trophy, but resilience is a key part of league play, and we'll have to see what happens. You never know how a team is going to take losing.
Yeah.
One loss, an upset, you can
brush that off.
sort of brush that off. But when you start consistently dropping games, the confidence goes a little bit, play changes on stage, training changes, conflict between teammates. It's easy to ignore the fact that Croc snores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're winning.
But then when you're
But when
losing.
you're losing,
Oh,
Shut up!
I'm going to rip
Shut
that
up.
earring out of your head. All right, well, if anyone can take down the Chiefs, it could be PGG. We'll find out with the Makers Champ Select.
Well, let's kick it off with the third game of the day here, Tim. It's Pentanet.gg taking on the Chiefs. Pentanet, as Nick highlighted before, have definitely had a bit of a punch on in the top of the bracket. It's going to be a tough one for them to take to the Chiefs, as they're currently down 2-0 in their head-to-head matchup. But I think really what's telling of them is they have the longest average game time in this league so far, sitting at 34 minutes. So they're a team that can definitely slow down the aggression that Chiefs are looking to try and bring, kind of similar to what we saw in the El Clasico last week.
Yeah, well, Pentanet play a lot of tanks top, so I think in terms of slowing the game down, they're not playing super volatile matchups like, for instance, the Chiefs do. We'll see usually Fian, Claire, well, in fact, all of them, opt into skill matchups. And in a skill matchup, if things go wrong, the game usually snowballs out of control very quickly. But Pentanet normally opt into more team fighting, tanks top lane, scaling junglers. Lee Sin, not really one of those, but we've seen a lot of Karthus from Sully in the past.
Yeah.
He also plays a lot of like Nidalee, Kindred, that sort of thing. So it doesn't surprise me that they have long game times, but yeah, curious to see what happens here. I mean, Chiefs pretty aggro normally.
Right out of the gates, the Lee Sin first pick, does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does, actually. I mean, Lee Sin's a very strong champion. Sully is a good Lee Sin player, but it's not like there were really any jungle bans on the table. I think it might just be a case of securing a comfort early and not really showing your hand too much.
Sure.
Lee Sin is not really a champion with counters, necessarily. So I'm assuming it's a strategic decision in regards to trying to hide the rest of their comp.
Because it's interesting, actually, when these two teams faced up against each other last time, both Biopentha and Sully were quite stubborn, really, in their picks. Bio always going for the Aatrox, Sully always going for the Gragas, always threatening the Yasuo. Claire, in the first exchanges, they would actually pick it up to deny it. The second time they went around, Chiefs actually responded with a ban towards it, right? So, interesting to see that they're changing things up so the predictability isn't as such. But the Chiefs going to stick with what is a comfort pick for Katsuri. There was a time for at least the first 6 weeks, right, where all he played was Misfortune Aphelios, right? So, what do we know about Aphelios? Incredibly strong laning phase, very, very strong in that capacity, and are still definitely at the top of the hierarchy of strong tier list.
Yeah, I'll be frank, I don't really know much more than that. I know that Aphelios is extremely strong, but I still don't really understand
figuring out how he works.
What he does. I mean, I watch him, and I get it in an abstract sense, but definitely not familiar with the intricacies of his kit. But extremely strong champion.
Yep.
The LeBlanc from Claire, capable LeBlanc player. Played it against Legacy last week. Unfortunately, played it into the Scion and wasn't able to get much done. But LeBlanc versus Zoe, I think that's actually LeBlanc favoured.
Is it a skill matchup, or is that?
Well, is it? I'm not sure. I thought it was, but anyway, I could be completely wrong. Yeah, interesting to see if it does. Interesting to see get back, pick it into the LeBlanc then as a counter pick.
Yeah, Brum comes out here nice and early as well, so the bot lane secured for the Chiefs, whereas Pentanet got a bit of variety across the board. Looks to me as if the Chiefs may want to try and leave Tien's pick till last. He's definitely been a crutch on this roster of finding value. Maybe to put the game on his back, especially the first time they went head-to-head in week number 1 when he played that Diana, went 7-0. He was quite disgusting, and I think this is one of the things for the Chiefs, right, is you're not necessarily fully reliant on Claire being that franchise player on the team. You've definitely got strengths in multiple regions. We've seen it from jungle, where Croc can carry on Nidalee. We've seen it from top lane with Tien, as I've said, and even with Katsuri when he's flexed it on those AD carries.
I mean, they're definitely all extremely capable players, and they all have carry potential, I think, on the side of Chiefs, which is what makes them such a dangerous lineup. There's not one lane that you can sort of target to sort of slow them down.
Yeah.
They're definitely dangerous from everywhere. But what I think is interesting here is the jungle bans coming through. I mean, Rek'Sai, I said Lee Sin didn't have any counters. Rek'Sai really is the only one where it can be difficult for Lee Sin to play that matchup.
Okay.
But double jungle ban coming through, leaving the Nidalee up, which I think is interesting. Olaf, Lee Sin generally is a counter pick to Olaf, so I'm not sure about what they're doing with that ban. But Jarvan locked in, so no Nidalee. They're not relying on Croc to carry this game. Looks like they'll be playing more for team fights.
Yep.
With the Braum Jarvan combo. Sorry. So we'll see what Pentanet replies with. Sort of weird. I think they're just picking for lane at this stage, Pentanet. There's not a lot of synergy.
With 4 supports banned away, how annoying Senna and Yuumi can be. Kind of interesting to see where Pentanet are going with this one. They've definitely flexed a fair variety of champions we haven't necessarily seen too much. This will be the only second Taric we've had in this one. I believe it was Mammoth who rocked it when they had the Nocturne as the pairing, and Cosmic Radiance goes off and suddenly you're invulnerable and you can't do anything when Paranoia comes out there. So crazy times. Whether or not that was a misclick and that's why the lobby is broken, we'll have to find out in a second. But regardless, Taric is a spicy pick. I think for me, I remember the old Taric, and that for me felt so satisfying, right? It was very bread and butter. You do your job, off you go. But I come back to League and I start playing this new one, and I had to feel like I'm 400 IQ because I feel like the skill ceiling is this far up. You got to just like massive understanding of how the team fight flow is going to go, or like identifying power spikes to sort of have that ramp up. What is it, 2.5 seconds before it goes off?
Yeah, it is a pretty long channel. He is deceptively difficult to play. Most melee supports generally, you know, they're CC heavy kits.
Yeah.
You know, you move forwards. You know, Leona, go in. You know, sort of Nautilus, hook in, Blitzcrank, hook. But Taric is one of those ones where, yes, he's melee, but there is still a bit of nuance in his kit. The stun and the linking of the stun is also important. That's a weird moving skill shot. The old Taric was, yes, very bread and butter, very simple, had a point and click stun. The ult and the W were really just, you know, hidden power. It was just stat buffs. Which I don't think is as exciting. I think that the new Taric I enjoy much more.
Yeah.
Taric here is a good pick. It's a scaling pick into Braum. Braum is a really strong team fighter, but Taric is a stronger team fighter.
Sure.
That ult just means, you know, Braum wants to sort of be in the thick of it, melee range, trading concussive blows, but Taric means if you're in that range and he gets his ult off effectively, like, you're in big trouble.
So, I mean, then talk to me about these bans here, right? Senna and Yuumi, incredibly impressive with obviously the Glacial and just the innate sustain and poke that comes out. Taric not really known for having the sustain as a traditional enchanter support would, so that kind of lends its hand to what they were revealing.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Pentanet, these are just general, you know, sort of your generic meta ban, strong picks that you might not want to first pick, but, you know, you don't really want to deal with. Whereas for Chiefs, you know, you see those two Ornn. I mean, yes, Ornn can be flexed to mid, but Ornn Maokai for me is what we were talking about earlier with how Bio, he likes to move towards the tanks. They like to play team fight heavy, and I think just taking those two off the table early means you're more likely to get a skill matchup on the top side, which is probably, you know, if you're Seal, the Chiefs coach, that's probably favourable for you.
That's what you're looking for, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last time they played, Tien was the Ornn player, so we're going to see a different pick coming out of him this time around. The Assassins are still available if he decides to go for that one. Top laners, it'll be interesting to see where we go with this.
Yeah, so I think, wait, Leona?
Not going to be the Taric. So it may have been the misclick.
Okay.
That may have been why the lobby broke.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, sure. Must have been. Curious. All right, well, no Taric. We've got the Leona instead. Leona into Braum. I don't know. I think that's a pretty even matchup. Again, I feel like, I mean, I could, yeah, like I said, I could be completely wrong, I guess. I'm not as involved in League meta as I used to be.
Yeah.
But the idea of counter picking Braum with Leona and LeBlanc with Zoe doesn't seem like maybe the best counter picks you could have gone with. You know, Braum traditionally bad against range supports. Yeah, I don't know. Mordecai's the last pick I like.
Yep.
I like. He's sort of tanky, but a bit of a change of pace, I think, for Bio. And gives him access to a strong top side. So for me, Pentanet, Sully has a lot of lanes to play to. You know, hard CC bottom lane. Mordecai's a very strong. I don't know if he has priority in this matchup, but I feel like he should. And then Zoe, obviously, Lee Sin Zoe. If you can land that bubble, it's a lot of burst.
Absolutely.
So definitely a lot of options for Sully. For me, you know, I was a jungler. I rate team comps by, you know, how easy is it for the jungler to have an impact on the map? Yeah. But then again, you know, Jarvan really strong at the moment, and you know, Aatrox, LeBlanc, Aphelios, Braum also very easy lanes to work around. So we'll have to see what happens in game.
So you'd say Chiefs have an incredibly strong 1-3-1, which seems to be their brand, but you know, the flip side of that is Pentanet. What are we looking at from them? I mean, you talk about scaling being a key factor, them looking to try and drive that game into a macro end. What are we looking at for them to try and stem the bleeding or prevent really Chiefs running away with this one in the early game?
I mean, I don't think they have a bad 1-3-1 necessarily either. Like Maud is pretty strong in the split. Yeah, LeBlanc is probably a bit better than Zoe, but there's definitely options. You know, there's definitely opportunities for Zoe to counterplay.
Yeah.
I think both of these teams. I mean, for me, this is a pretty equal draft. You know.
Okay.
Really, the only outlier is sort of Aphelios. I think Aphelios is still really, really strong, and we see him banned in a lot of games. But the two team comps that are both good at team fighting, good at skirmishing early. They scale relatively evenly. So for me, no clear winner in the draft. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what the junglers can get done early.
Yeah, I think that's going to be definitely a talking point here, and looking to sort of see if we can get a bit of aggression in the early game, because these first two games we've had today have been a little bit quiet in terms of unable to find opportunities, or one jungler being able to really run the mill, and the other forced to sit in the jungle and farm away for another day. But game number 3 is on the way. It is first place Chiefs taking on Pentanet, hot at their heels, looking to try and dethrone the Kings and keep Legacy in that first place contention, which I'm sure is something definitely on your mind as we come into this.
Yes. So we've got a 5-point fan from both sides. Croc dumps that wood in the try early, goes home for the trinket. So we'll have to see whether he plans to do anything early with that sweeper. But other than that, not really much doing at level 1. Looks like potentially a red buff start for the Jarvan, so could be some early bot action from him. Not sure what Sully's going to start yet, but he has stayed on the top side, and there are a lot of pings coming out, so we might be seeing a late invade from Lee Sin Maud. Or are they waiting?
What, the 5-man fan continues.
Okay, they are going to start their own blue.
So both junglers starting top side right now, so expecting to see a bit of a aggression in the bottom lane.
Oh, okay, so he did start W. I was going to say, if he started Q here and he's not going to get those 2 autos off in between his Qs, that certainly has actually hurt his clear quite a bit. But uses the blast cone, has the W, so he's going to be able to clear quite healthily.
Excited to see the performance he can put on this one. A new champion added to his arsenal, one that he showed us so far. So I'm keen to see how this one works out as they hit the level 3, level 4 spike and head towards bot lane, looking for that early aggression. Trying to influence what could take place here between the Braum and Leona. There will be cleanse on Katsuri, whereas Praetif has opted for the heal. So definitely a difference in these AD carries as well as the supports. Ignite for Leona and Exhaust for Korea CK.
Yeah, so it looks to me like potentially Croc had a set play in mind where he was going to gank bot level 2. Had that sweeper, walked in bot side river. Either they knew it was warded because they saw them put it down, or through studying level 1s from earlier Pentanet games. Or he's going to return to this bot lane after warding at level 3 to try and exert his influence then. So for me, I'm a big fan of set plays from the jungle. You know, you go into the draft with an identity, with a plan, and then you execute during the game. Sully has found Croc. He's going to throw the Q just to let him know that he knows where he is, but because he's between the towers, not going to be able to follow up, not going to be able to do very much with it, and actually tells Croc exactly where he is too. So
it's important information both ways, quite honestly. Scuttle will now spawn in the bottom river as well as top, so you may just see an even trade go across with Croc going top side, working towards those Raptors, and then basically gentleman's agreement of we know where each other's at, let's just get our money, and let's collect that paycheck for that item spike.
Yeah, pretty smart move from Croc. I mean, his bot lane was getting shoved in, and Aatrox, his top laner, had the shove.
Yep.
So just using his priority to make sure he can get one of the crabs safely. Gonna walk into the jungle, maybe contest a wolf camp here. which is nice. You know, PGG used their priority to get an early reset. You can see Praetor has the boots and the longsword, so he's going to have strength in lane, whereas for Chiefs, their priority topside. Crocs managed to steal away a camp, get some vision down. So I have to see what value they derive from that over the next couple of minutes. But for me, I'm a big fan of the invade.
Now this is interesting. As you say, the ward goes down and there's more to display right now. Is Croc's going to parve away on the alcove. No vision to spot him in these brushes just yet, so maybe looking for a cheeky collapse.
You can see how Thien is playing on the bottom side of the lane here, trying to push Biopanther to the top side, near where the bush is.
Correct.
The idea behind that is that if Croc can get into the bush, he's basically in melee range. And
You always want to keep that 1.5 meter difference. Absolutely, at a rotating angle.
It's those little nuances that I think you can easily lose as a viewer, you know? That, like, he's standing there on purpose. He's trading that way on purpose. It's not just a gank that's happening, you know what I mean? There's, there are a lot of small things that go into a successful game.
I think it's quite easy, especially when you're watching, right, to be like, oh, well, that makes sense because he got pushed into that bush, so hence the gank took place. But the micro moments, the decisions that led up to that point, and what sort of allowed it to happen, maybe being a defining factor between what elo you're in and why these guys are pros.
Yeah, Sully just helping Bio get the wave in, just in case Croc was still around or Thien decided he didn't like what was happening and tried to all in. But this will be a base for Bio, unless it gets cancelled. Thien's found him. Sully's still around.
Yeah, the root won't connect, but Biopanther does respond with a flash to get sure Sully would come in.
One more. No.
Unable to find it because there are minions in the way. Both flashes used. But Chiefs will take that one as Sully burnt his as well.
And that was exactly why Sully was hiding in that bush in the first place. Biopanther was not yet strong enough to just shove in the wave on his own. So he needed that support, and Thien played pretty well, you know. Maybe guessed that he was there, gave him the opportunity, gave him 5 or so seconds to start that recall in the hopes that in that time Lee Sin would walk away, which he did. But yeah, opts into the all-in there and costs him his flash, but for a 2-for-1 trade, he'll take that.
Yeah, opportunity cost of that unsuccessful gank for the first blood means that Chiefs find priority to rotate towards the dragon, which Croc can pick up with little to no hesitation. Knows exactly where
Sully might be in
Sully
trouble
is.
here.
Now,
No flash.
he does have the ward in his pocket right now. Dash across the wall, bait out both members, and has get back in support. Get a full set of flash here to try and respond now. Sully's super low, unable to get himself out of harm's way. It's going to be first blood for Chiefs.
Yeah, cute little move there from Sully, just sitting in the inside of the red, trying to use the Fog of War to his advantage. But yeah, unfortunately, no flash. Means that if you get discovered, you are a bit of a sitting duck. And the other thing there is they could potentially have traded that kill, but unfortunately they split their damage, you know. The bubble landed onto Claire, but Sully tried to engage on the Jarvan, so no trade, just a kill, and 1-0 for Croc. I feel like we see that pretty regularly.
We do, yeah. Definitely a fantastic game for him so far. He's definitely got himself up in terms of gold count and influence on this map so far with the gank and the dragon pickup. That's what you want to see come out, Chiefs.
Early swap from Pentanet. As soon as that drag falls down, they swap so that the Rift Herald isn't an easy take afterwards.
Yep. The first time we've actually seen today a hard force in it. The other few games have been definitely
Bubble.
lanes winning in their own regard. Now that is a long-range bubble. Going to force up the cleanse very early on here.
Like that.
There was a lot of members of Pentanet hunting for that kill, so the right play.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about the early cleanse burn, though, is that there was really no commitment for it. You know, it was one bubble. Zoe didn't lose a whole bunch. Well, looks like she's lost a wave. Mordekaiser's had to eat it. But once that cleanse is gone, you know, it's one more bubble, one more Flash Leona engage, and that's an easy way to open up an advantage.
Sully gets himself back in the mix as he picks up that Rift Herald. Support's very close to level 6 now.
I'll have to see whether or not they return to top lane, and it doesn't look like they are. With Herald now off the table, the next objective to spawn is the Dragon, and they have the Herald as well. So it's a good opportunity to try and force a split map where you can drop the Herald on one side and enemy team falls behind on platings.
We're going to go back from base and trying to assert some dominance around this Dragon Pit, as you highlight. Going to start by taking the control wall, placing his own one down, and asserting vision around the mid lane.
Yeah, you can see Thien sort of opting not to go to base, just sort of walking around, isn't really sure. Of course, they weren't exactly aware of whether or not Pentanet were going to return to top lane or whether they were going to swap to bot. They now know, but it looks like they could commit 4 people to bot lane to answer the Herald.
Yeah.
Instead of the cross-map trade. Croc has just base though, so...
It's a little bit awkward, right, for TM, because top lane is pushed in. Drake isn't up for another couple of minutes at the very least, and as you say, he's wandering around looking to sort of soak up XP or gold and say, well, where do you want me at?
The thing about top lane being pushed in is it's actually an advantage for the Chiefs. Having the creeps under the tower like that means that Biopanther or someone on the team isn't actually farming, because the red creep's getting denied under tower. The blue wave is now going to push back to the red tower. So Thien actually doesn't mind at all that he's not doing anything, because he knows eventually he will get farm. But it was an interesting approach to that Herald conundrum. You know, PGG, they swapped their lanes back. I don't think Chiefs were entirely prepared for it, but yeah, committed what looks like maybe 5 people to the Herald, and Sully opting into not burning it immediately.
Well, Croc is miles ahead right now. Sully, as you can see, that jungle item is complete, and he
That's
knows
clear.
that he's looking for that fight if they can try and deny this Rift Herald from finding any value. Obviously, does have a fair chunk of time left on its usage.
Yeah.
But just the aggression through mid and the fact that Croc is hunting, they understand their power spikes, right, and they're able to abuse.
Yeah, and the key word there is power spikes. Croc had a buy on top on Sully. Sully was still only sitting on that Warhammer, but has just gone back and picked up his Warrior as well. So it's Warrior now versus Cinderhulk. This is probably Lee Sin's biggest spike of the game. When Lee Sin hits 6 and completes that Warrior, that is, like, comparatively to the rest of the game, that is probably his strongest moment. So we'll have to see what Sully does in the next 2 minutes or so, and whether or not he gets one-shot this push.
Oh, they're looking for it. They're looking for that electrocute proc to go on off. Sully's incredibly low. The Ignite will do it.
Oh, he's in the
He's in the Death Realm, absolutely. Looking to try and land it. The Mace does come across, and the Graphs to bring him back in as well. Croc denied, so both junglers have gone off the board with Drake to spawn. Drake is there. It's an Infernal Drake for that.
I think for Pentanet as a whole, you definitely take that.
Yeah.
You know, this Maud has been falling behind on farm a little bit, as we see.
Good flash.
Flash out of row to avoid the ultimate. He's been falling a little bit behind in that top lane, and I think getting gold into your solo lane is really valuable. But at the same time, Sully is falling further and further behind, and like I said, this spike right now is when Elysian needs to start putting work in, so you definitely don't like to see that momentum slowed.
Going to be interesting to see what item path he decides to go towards. I think, what would you say, Tiamat or Black Cleaver still on the board, or definitely a little bit more defensive given the state?
Yeah, I think in this meta, you don't get enough gold to warrant building damage if you're not ahead.
Yeah.
So for me, from here, like, he's very obviously behind. It's got to be tank items, something like the Knight's Vow, you know, Aegis or Legion, Locket.
Yeah.
Anything like that, I think, is what Stone Plate. Those are items I'd like to see on him. Ooh.
We'll have to wait and see, because the rune is kicked online, and he's got those boots in his pocket right now. The range hook, as Rogue looks to try and engage, but massive cocoon, or sorry, Cataclysm comes out, getting mixed out with that one. It's a bullet time response is fantastic. Kurisike will block a lot of that with the shield, but it just does not seem to matter. The Chiefs take down 2. Easy rotate now towards Dragon.
Yeah, it looked like that MF ult might have been the turning point, but unfortunately, Kurisike saved the Bronze Shield for the MF ult and soaked a ton of that damage, and looks like Dragon number 2 is going to go over to the Chiefs.
Cataclysm, Cocoon, I suppose they're basically the same thing, because those guys got locked in place.
They were stuck, that's for sure.
They were definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place. Now the second Drake to their name. What kind of rift are we going to get? I'm sure they're hoping for an ocean.
Wind.
But it is going to be the wind. So ult cooldown reduction is what we are looking at here.
Thien, I think that was his first appearance in a team fight, first appearance in a, something active in the game.
Yeah.
Manages to pick up a kill. We'll have to see what that means for the side lane. I think All towers are still up. That Herald wasn't able to break that bottom tower. He is pretty chunked on the tower right now, though. I think he's just trying to soak some XP until Katsuri gets here.
I think it's such an interesting matchup between the likes of Praetor and Katsuri because they're such big powerhouses in the AD department in terms of farm, damage, and gold utilization. I've definitely seen so many times where Praetor has been items ahead or item and a half ahead, and the team has just sort of pumped the brakes and said, no, we play slow, we play late. And I wonder if that's a source of frustration for him at times.
I don't think so. Praedyth is a guy who thrives on having the resources. You know, he's not afraid of sort of that burden to carry. He's not afraid of having to be that guy. I think he embraces it. You know, he wants the farm. You know, he's the kind of guy who'll be taking jungle camps very early on to try and eke out any sort of advantage he can get to carry the game. He's definitely a big part of this team, and I think there's been a few times this season or this split where, you know, we've looked at Praedyth as like, okay, well, this game's a bit rough, but maybe Praedyth can do something. So I'd be curious to see what he can get done. MF, you know, very strong champion, but mostly due to her laning. She's not really that outplay mobility sort of 1v9 AD carry that like a Vayne or
Ezreal, yeah, anybody with
like
hardcore mobility, absolutely.
Yeah. So it is a bit more difficult, but certainly doable.
Although I am scared right now. The fact is that Claire is 2-2.
Yeah, that is a big problem for him.
You see how much damage he was able to do to Sully before, and he could do it to get back as well, and that's what you expect out of Zoe. LeBlanc right now is pretty insane.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it comes back down to draft. Normally, I don't really like to look at draft in games that are blowouts. I feel like often you could just put that down to gameplay mistakes. You know, like why does she have 3 kills? And it's not like she was solo killing, get back in lane. It's like, you know, she picked up 2 pretty free jungle kills. But at the same time, yeah, I feel like Pentanet had the opportunity to get some real counter picks. And I haven't seen the Leona or the Zoe really result in much.
Warrant their picking position in the draft. Yeah, absolutely. Well, 16 minutes into this one, 5 kills to 1. The gold lead has slowly but steadily built up. It was a 1k buffer for a fair bit of time, but now we hit around about the 4.5 mark. And, you know, as we've highlighted, definitely it's LeBlanc with a lot of that power for the team, but now Tien has online the Black Cleaver, so definitely able to shred down the front line. And, you know, if it was rough before for the likes of Sorley, going to have very little resilience when he jumps into these fights now.
Yeah, and he is, you can see, Katsura is caught. He has to cleanse.
Every single time they find these engages, the cleanse is there, but the fight looks to continue regardless. There isn't any stone plate right now, and Rogue will fall down quite easily as a result of that. Now looking for Sorley again, and that'll be his 3rd death off the game. And look, you know, you've got the double threat right now. Both solo laners incredibly online.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dangerous part about trying to play aggressively in the enemy's jungle when you're behind, you know. On the one hand, yes, you know, they don't know exactly what the gold lead is, but sometimes, you know, you can feel it as a player. We need a miracle pick to make this work. Yeah. We need someone to face check a brush so that we can one-shot them, get that shutdown gold, get a bit of tempo on the map, and, you know, stabilize what's happening here. But unfortunately, at the same time, you know, if it's not effective, all of a sudden you're 0-2 jungle, 0-2 mid laner, and you're just deep on the enemy side of the map. It's a really easy way to find yourself back in the pool.
I don't think that's going to stem Pentanet from too much at this stage. Obviously, Zoe still has those trouble bubbles, which will find value regardless of the one-shot burst from the Paddle Stars. But now teamfight takes place again. The bubble onto 1, they engage onto the other 2, who go down through the Baron Pit. They found their target. They're going to collapse onto Rogue, who goes golden, which allows the bullet time to find a lot of entrance value up towards this ramp. Biopanther in that Death Realm, unable to find that kill on towards Croc. And if Sorley's a little bit stronger, I feel like he definitely takes that Sonic Wave right there.
I don't know. That's
knowing Sorley.
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe Sorley would do it.
I know he wants to press that Q.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Braum still had Guardian. It's one of those ones where, You know, especially when you tag the enemy jungler, you as a jungler, you don't get the opportunity to fight your direct opponent as much as what the other lanes do. And so when you get the opportunity to kill your direct opponent, you really want to do it. But yeah, I don't know. Between Braum Guardian and concussive blows and CC, I don't know. It would have definitely been a tough ask, even if he was fed. But I think this is one, and I want to talk about. We talked about it a little bit already, but this is one I want to talk about again, which is junglers who are playing, sort of aggressive jungles, but Lee Sin isn't Kindred. You know what I mean? Tank Kindred has no use.
Yeah.
Okay, we can all see that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
But Lee Sin can double as a tank. You can. He has a shield. He has a slow, and he has obviously that big peel in the kick. He can body block skill shots with his W. You can very easily play him as sort of a tank off tank. When you're 0-3-0, trying to build a Black Cleaver, even by the time you finish the item, you're 2 levels down on the enemy Jarvan. You're not killing anybody. It is a complete waste of gold. The only win condition here, and we were joking about it before, really is Praedyth getting off some sort of monster ult, crazy good team fight. Okay, yes, maybe get back and land some bubbles. Maybe Biopanther can win in a side lane eventually, but pings and a TP coming in, I think there might be a team fight in a second.
But I mean, look at the items, the CS difference, right? Praedyth's the only one that's holding his own and actually beating out Katsuri, so definitely the saving grace with items, but who's going to fall on down here? Not enough movement speed to run out those 4 members. Chief's hungry. And we're Baron on the cards. The situation becomes quite scary. You can understand Pentanet wanted to try and force something, given that Chiefs were able to pick up that Drake for free. They grabbed something, but it just lose so much more as a result.
Baron started up. They're not going to take a ton of damage from this, so it's a pretty safe start. But Rogue is the support. It's not like they can't contest this. And Zoe is very annoying when you're trapped in the pit.
Absolutely. There's the diff from very early on onto Tien. It is going to draw Chiefs off the Baron. Now he's in the middle of 4 hungry members. No support. They've given him up. Another kill to clear. That's not the member you want to have it.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, what's the objective? The objective is to stop them from doing Baron, which that did.
It did.
But at the same time, I feel like that was their last opportunity to get a team fight win. The thing about Baron is, okay, even if it doesn't do that much damage, it does shred your resists. So your resistances go down, and it's a great opportunity for a team who is down on gold to do a little bit of extra damage. Unfortunately, they opted out of the team fight and were willing to let Maud be sacrificed. But again, Maud was the only other win condition other than Misfortune, and to sacrifice his tempo.
Yeah.
The noose only gets tighter.
Well, Chiefs are doing a fantastic job of safeguarding the 6k gold lead. They've definitely got a lot of win conditions online from right now, with Soul Point being threatened, the ability to start up Baron and draw in those team fights. Infinity Edge not too far away now for Praedyth.
Yeah, this is just a really tough position for Pentanet to be in. Because the other thing about the Chief draft...
Oh my gosh.
6-0.
The guy's running straight towards that Rabadons with 2 of those rods in his arsenal. And yeah, that's an instant Baron call if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, what I was saying is the Chief draft, those champions are so sticky. They're hard to get away from.
Yeah.
But they're also hard to catch, Aphelios opted into the cleanse. LeBlanc has a million dashes and a clone. Even Jarvan can be hard to kill sometimes.
Well, I mean, you can talk about it, right? Obviously, Tien has the dash, Croc has the flag and drag, Claire with the dash, Katsuri, yeah, cleanse, otherwise no, and then Korea CK can just jump on somebody's backpack like a basic Yumi.
And a lot of what the Pentanet comp wants to do is to hold people in place.
Yeah.
They have a lot of CC, then they have obviously the MF and the Zoe who want to land big skill shots. But it's just so difficult to do. They keep finding, between air quotes, picks, but they're not actually able to kill anybody, and it turns into a disastrous scenario very quickly afterwards.
I mean, it says it for you really on that scoreboard right there, 11 kills to 1. The only kill that's able to be achieved was by Panther in a Death Realm, forcing out the 1v1, but apart from that, the influence on this map has been quite rough. They've tried to force something to be proactive on their end of the strategy. Chiefs have always had their number. and being able to capitalize on the fact that they are just this far ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from here, it's just really tough to be Pentanet. They don't have any obvious options. You know, they're trying to eke out farm where they can in the hopes that Chiefs make a mistake.
What do you do really as BioPanther at this stage of the game? Are you just looking to try and defer him at the LeBlanc, knowing that you're not absolutely going to be able to win that, and say, look, Praetor, please, like, we need to force something defending this inhibitor and try and win out?
It's definitely an option. Sort of the suicide Mord ult, where you just take the most fed member of the team out of the team fight in the hopes that your team can win the 4v4 afterwards.
Yeah.
The problem is there's no way that they win that 4v4 afterwards anywhere outside of the base. I mean, for Pentanet, their best option is sort of hoping that, you know, the base doesn't get broken, and if it does get broken, it takes some time.
Croc does not wait for that. He's excited.
Pops that stone plate, ults in.
Solar Flare will not land at all. Double chains, broke between the Aatrox and the LeBlanc, and those two are incredibly fed, so between the two of them, they will destroy you.
And what's really cool about what Croc just did is by forcing that MF flash early in the team fight, it makes it really difficult for her to team fight at all afterwards.
To re-engage, yeah.
To even auto attack once becomes very difficult, let alone standing still and ulting.
Yeah.
And so it's a really clever move. You know, you don't really lose all that much. Jarvan ult, not a super long cooldown, and shooting the stone plate means that you don't lose too much health. It's just a really, it's a non-committal way to sort of, you know, remove a player from the team fight despite them having full health.
Well, after that play there, with the inhibitor falling on down and picking up their soul point, it's a 9k gold lead, and Claire once again flexing how damn strong he is. A couple more ticks that the Ignite would have done, or even just another auto attack.
Yeah, I mean, you know there's a mid gap when just appearing on the map forces the other guy to flash. Claire did commit in the end to flashing, but could easily have just traded his W for a flash. And re-engage later.
There is a part of me, though, Carbon, that's actually quite happy to see a Zoe lose like this, because I absolutely hate versing Zoe. It's just the fact that they can one-shot me.
Yeah, she's
halfway across the map.
She definitely has one of the more annoying champion designs. Definitely extremely frustrating to play against, and not that much fun to play with. She's really only fun to play as.
Definitely been plenty of games I've played where, you know, the Zoe just 1v9, right? Just, oh, somebody's been deleted, cool.
Yeah.
What happened this game, though, because Claire is the one running that script. He is a very strong member of this Chiefs lineup right now, and so is this man here, Tien, who nearly went for the kill on Sorely. BioPanther being a great team member, goes for the death ram to prevent it. Both will disengage. They look to try and defend their second inhibitor in the top lane. That one will fall down swiftly. Another engage may take place here as they look to try and get a consolation prize. The barrier goes up as Brom tries to be a patriot, but they will find a kill. Will be Zoe on the ball collecting that gold.
When a team is breaking the base without Baron, you know it's been a rough game. You know, when they can just force their way in without that Baron buff, it's just like, well, what now, coach? You know what I mean? Can I phone a friend? I need a lifeline. Can I get, you know what I mean? Like, there's just really so little that Pentanet can do. I mean, they've got two big tools left, Mord ult and MF ult. But as MF, Praetor lives for
Scary.
now. But, you know, Korea CK has done a really good job this game of saving his Braum shield for when the MF comes out. And BioPanther is using his ult appeal. Like, he's not...
It's a 7-second stun. That's all it is
yeah,
at this stage,
he's
right?
not really threatened with that ult yet because he can't afford to ult a non-priority target. I mean, at the same time, yes, Katsuri has QSS. It wouldn't work on him anyway. You know, there are stopwatches. But every time, yeah, and you see the same
ult again. Go for a Praetor again. He doesn't have flash. Look how far ahead he is with the CS, but it accounts for nothing. Here's the final lifeline for Pentanet, and he's been instantly removed off the board as a triple kill takes place. They're just going to find members after members. They want that full 5-man ace. They're looking for Sorely, but he's running to the fountain. And these Nexus turrets will now start to fall on down in what has been a whitewash of a game. Sully will get a shutdown, but it doesn't mean much at this stage because their Nexus will go on down. Pentanet cannot dethrone another king as Chiefs will find a swift victory in game number 3 today.
Yeah, this was picked as our game of the day. We were hoping that this one wouldn't be a wash, but it adheres to the pattern. It's another wipe, and Chiefs just, I don't know, put on a clinic.
It's been a day of very convincing results, really, hasn't it? It's been very much the case of we have a game plan, and from early on, it kind of sets the standard for what we expect to see. I think really for Sully, he's going to be looking back at that replay, biting himself, right, as to sort of how it went so wrong so early on.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough game for him. It was a rough game for him. It wasn't like there was anything that just was sort of unfortunate, unlucky, like, Jarvan just got a kill and you just sort of, it was difficult to play the game, or like, lanes were just, behind and he had no priority. He had plenty of priority to work with.
Yeah.
He had opportunities and unfortunately just fumbled it. He got caught early at the red buff, burned his flash trying to get a kill that he wasn't able to secure in the top lane. And then after that, it was just a wash. He just face checked Claire one too many times, and then as soon as LeBlanc got a bit of a gold lead, Claire just really put the screws in.
Yeah, and I think really for me, right, is the fact that Chiefs had such a aggressive, explosive start that they thought, well, this is fantastic for us, right? We know that you're looking to try and bring this game later and later and later on, but so many objectives were given up by Pentanet that, you're constantly in the back of your mind thinking, when do they choose that moment? When do they go for that fight? And then the gold starts to accrue, the items start to come online, the power spikes are there for the most influential members of this roster. And by the time that, Praetor is so damn far ahead, he was like 100, 150 CS over some of his, teammates at some states, right? The guy is that strong, but as you highlighted in one of those previous fights, one Cataclysm, flash burn, he's a non-factor anymore. Yeah,
and I mean, we saw it in that game-ending team fight as well. You could see Jarvan just immediately, EQs nothing, okay? Yep. Jarvan has 2 moves, EQ and ult. He used 1 move on nothing just to get the ult because, 2 minutes earlier, he had burned the flash. So he knew all I have to do is get on top of her and she dies. Having a 15k gold lead or whatever helps too. But it was just, it becomes so difficult to play the game when your jungler falls behind. Rogue also had a few unfortunate deaths. And for me, your macro, a team's macro is 90% jungle support. Like, what are these 2 people doing? Because they are the ones who are able to move throughout the map and dictate what is going to be strong side. What objective are we contesting? You know what I mean? Rarely do you see jungle support just in lane or clearing farm and, AD carry just walk somewhere to do something. That's extremely rare. And, when your jungle is 0-4-0 and your support is 0-5-1, you don't really have a choice but to give up objectives.
Yeah, and in the end, it was the Chiefs that punished them for those mistakes. That was game number 3. Stick around, because after the break, the final game of day number 1. Trying to engage, but massive cocoon, Cataclysm comes out, getting mixed up with that one. It's a bullet time response is fantastic. 3CK will block a lot of that with the shield. When they finally engage, the cleanse is there, but the fight looks to continue regardless. Any stone play right now, and Rogue will fall down quite easily as a result of that. Now looking for Sully again, and that'll be his 3rd death of the game. And they're going to go for Praetor again. He doesn't have flash. Look how far ahead he is with the CS, but it accounts for nothing. Here's the final lifeline for Pentanet, and he's been instantly removed off the board as a triple kill takes place. They're just going to find members after members. They want that full 5-man ace. They're looking for Sully, but he's running to the fountain. And these Nexus turrets will now start to fall on down in what has been a whitewash of the game. Sully will get a shutdown, but it doesn't mean much at this stage because their Nexus will go on down. Pentanet cannot dethrone another king, and Chiefs will find a swift victory in game number 3 today.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.